I'm making this video for Niels. No one else is allowed to watch it. So you've seen my other one, right? You got to get the 2-inch pipe all the way in the air box. You've got a ultra gray or ultra black, all the boots. 1, 2, and then this is the one that leaks the worst. You see it right there? 3, this big air diaphragm tuning bladder thing. Important to grease that. And then these bends, I've got a video on the bends and how to line up the exact angles. Those are perfect. But the problem is, when you put the plastic on, you see where it rubs right there? You can see where it's actually worn into the pipe. It rubs there pretty bad. So what you could do is, once you get to this point, you could angle it over that way and come up, like how I did Travis's. That'd be one way to fix it. Another way to fix it would be put a 45 here, go up here, and like a 15 here to get it to follow as close to this as you can. You might have to trim some plastic, but you could definitely get it closer than I did. You see how there's a big gap between the gas tank and the snorkel? If you kept it up by the gas tank, the plastics would fit perfect. I got lazy when I did this one, and it works okay, but you could definitely do it better. But yeah, so I mean, I'd recommend doing Travis's snorkel unless you want to go taller for more protection, because you know you can make this one as high as you want. But Travis's looks really clean, and like I said, you could angle it over that way. There's this big piece of plastic here and this big yellow thing. You won't have all these wires, right? I relocated all my wires up front, but so none of this will be here, Niels. But you could go straight across, cut off this plastic thing, because all that's there for is to suck air up for the factory intake. So you could trim that and go straight across and come up. That's what I'm going to do on my next one for sure. And make sure you support the snorkel with a zip tie in a few spots so it's not, the weight of the pipe isn't hanging on the air box. And as far as all the vent lines, I'll just do it again for you real quick. The most important vent line to snorkel is the one off the fuel tank, because from the factory it's just plugged onto the back of the frame, way down here, barely higher than your tire. So figure out where this is going and snorkel that up into the headlight pod. You got to do your rear diff, which from the factory is breathing. I cut it off. There's a piece right here. From the factory, it breathes right there. So you got to run that up. And then the other lines are your front diff, your radiator fan, and your radiator reservoir line, and the weep line for this, for your water pump. You got to snorkel that up too. You got to run all of those up to the handlebars. See, I just got mine run up right here, but I really should have it in the handlebars, right? And what else? You can take this connector on yours. You can do this from the factory. This connector is mounted down here. You just take it, you flip it up and zip tie it up there like that. Drill one little hole, keep it higher. The connector for the 4-wheel drive actuator is mounted really low down from the factory. So you can take that connector from where it's mounted real down low on the frame, unhook it, and zip tie it much higher out of the way so it's not getting constantly just full of mud. You can see how the wire comes straight off the actuator now. It's up there. From the factory, they've got it clipped onto the frame right here. So that's a good, quick, easy little mod. Grease your spark plug. You really should grease every connection, but at least grease your spark plug wire in your boot. You don't need to do anything with the airbox lid. It seals really good. If you wanted to, you could put some grease there, but really not required. What else did I do for waterproofing? That's pretty much it for waterproofing, man. These bikes come pretty sealed. The factory crankcase breather is good as long as you don't get water in your airbox, but some people like to change that, how it goes in the box or run up top of their snorkel. I don't think it's worth doing. If you're going to do this style snorkel, hey, I've been looking for that. That's how I decided to mount mine. It's just a hose clamp. That's a piece of metal that I bent in shape of the pipe. Hose clamp goes, you can see, I'll get it focused. There you go. You see exactly how I mounted it right there. That's a pretty good way to do it. It's pretty solid. And I got a rubber joint here. This hits trees all the time, so it's a little floppy, but not nearly as bad as Polar Bear's floppy snorkel. That's a nice way to mount it. If you do it on the other side, like the way I did Travis's, it fits in there real tight and it's not as tall, so all you really need to do to mount it is zip tie it, 2 holes right here, zip tie it to this piece. Yep. I also recommend deleting your roll angle sensor. It's right here. And you delete it, you open it up, fill it with Ultragram, put it back together, because that'll kill your motor. If you do a wheelie and you stand it up backwards, it'll kill your motor, and that's not something you want. You also need to grease your boots. Pull back all these boots. There's four, two on each drive shaft, and pack them full of waterproof grease, or like a black moly grease works good. Another thing that you need to do before you drive in any water is grease up your rear axle splines. So it's super easy. Just jack up the bike, pull the wheel off, pull this top bolt, and grab the knuckle and swing it down. That'll pop the axle out of the diff, and pack that bitch with grease. A good thick waterproof grease there, so that's not going to wash away, because the axle splines aren't actually sealed. The diff seals to the ring gear, so water will get in there. But if you grease it good enough, it'll never give you any problems. They won't wear anything, and you'll be able to get your axles out if you ever break one. Make sure you bed your brake pads right. So I don't know if it says it in the Honda manual, but it definitely is like a known thing. Drive it around for a few times, nice easy braking, real slot, and then go kind of fast and do a nice hard brake with front and rear brakes 2 or 3 times. It's called bedding your brake pads. It helps them break in the new rotors. You'll get better life out of them. And you got to get some ODI grips. The Rogues are the best for the water. It's a different thing you got to do. That's all I can think about, Niels. If I think of anything else, I'll text you.